I knew something was wrong the second I stepped into the hallway that morning. My name, was being whispered from inside the conference room. I froze, holding my coffee so tight my hand shook. The door was slightly open. I leaned in quietly, my heart beating fast. "She's too soft," my manager, Harper, said. Her voice was sharp. "Cynthia won't fight back. That's why we picked her." Picked me. My stomach twisted. Then I heard Evan, the man I trusted, the man I had been seeing in secret for months, say in a low voice, "Yeah. She won't even know we used her work. She's just happy for attention." My chest burned. My breath hitched so loud I had to cover my mouth. Harper laughed. "We present the project today, and she'll get 0 credit. It'll look like we built it. She's too desperate to speak up." Desperate, used, soft. I felt the floor tilt under me. I heard Evan sigh. "As long as she doesn't find out I told you everything she planned. She thinks I actually care." Something inside me cracked. The man I had let into my life. "Selling me out," Harper said. "Relax. She's clueless." I stepped back slowly. They didn't know I was there, but I knew everything. I walked into the office with a straight face, even though my heart felt like broken glass. Harper looked up from her desk, giving me her usual fake smile. "Morning, Cynthia." "Morning," I whispered, hoping my voice didn't crack. Evan walked in seconds later, pretending to be surprised to see me. "Hey," he said softly, the way he always used to speak. When it was just us. I felt my stomach twist, but I forced a neutral smile. I watched him carefully. He didn't know I had heard every word. Not yet. They gathered everyone for the project presentation. My project, my long nights, my ideas. Evan sat beside Harper as she connected her laptop to the screen. When she started presenting my work, word for word, my chest heated with anger, but I kept my expression calm. People nodded, impressed. Evan added comments as if he had written the plan himself. At the end, our CEO clapped. "Excellent work, Harper. And Evan, good support." My throat tightened. No one called my name. Harper placed her hand on my shoulder afterward. "Thanks for organizing files and helping where you could." "Helping? Where I could?" I smiled slowly. "Of course." They thought I was quiet because I was weak, but I was quiet because revenge needs silence. After the meeting, I went to the women's restroom and locked myself in a stall. I pressed my back against the door and let one tear fall. Just one. Then I wiped it away. I wasn't going to break for people who didn't deserve it. When I stepped out, I saw Lena, my only real friend at the office, standing near the sink. She looked worried. "Cynthia, are you okay?" I shook my head. "Not really." She lowered her voice. "I saw the slides. That was your work." I nodded, trying not to cry again. "You should report them," she whispered. "I will," I said, but not yet, because something bigger had started forming in my mind, an idea, a plan, a slow burn. "And Evan?" Lena asked softly. My chest tightened at his name. The betrayal still stung like a fresh bruise. "He helped them," I whispered. "He told Harper everything." Lena gasped. "I knew he was shady." I let out a shaky breath. "I won't confront him, not now. They think I'm clueless. I want them to stay comfortable." Lena nodded slowly. "So, what's your plan?" I looked at my reflection in the mirror. Eyes red but steady. "I'm going to let them talk," I said, "and expose themselves." Evan came to my desk, later, acting like nothing had happened. "Hey," he said softly, leaning on the cubicle wall. "You disappeared after the meeting." I forced a small smile, just tired. He frowned, pretending to care. "You sure?" "You look a little off." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. Instead, I kept my voice gentle. "I'm fine." He sat on the edge of my desk, like he used to when we were close. "We still good for dinner tonight?" My stomach tightened. Dinner. The plan we made before I learned who he really was. I nodded. "Of course," I said, letting my tone sound almost shy. His eyes softened, and for a second I wondered if he ever cared at all, or if it was all a game. "Great," he said. "I'll pick you up at 7. He walked away with a smile, and I watched him go, thinking about how easily he lied, how easily he sold me out, how he looked me in my eyes with the same mouth that called me clueless. Lena walked by and raised an eyebrow. "You're still going out with him?" "Yes," I whispered. "I have to learn how deep the lies go." I wasn't done listening, not even close. Evan picked me up at 7 sharp. He wore a clean button-down shirt, smelling like his usual warm cologne. It used to comfort me. Now it made my stomach twist. At the restaurant, he smiled across the table. "You look tense," he said softly. I took a slow breath. "Just a long day." He reached for my hand, and I pulled back gently, acting shy. "Sorry," I whispered. He gave a small laugh. "You're cute when you're nervous." My jaw clenched, but I kept the smile. As we ate, he kept talking about our future, pretending he still cared. I listened carefully, pretending to be interested, letting him feel safe, letting him think I was still the woman who trusted him. Then he slipped. He said, "Harper and I are presenting again next month. With your help behind the scenes, we'll crush it." My pulse spiked. Behind the scenes, that was his role for me. "Do you really think Harper sees my value?" he asked, lowering his voice. "I mean, I've been giving her everything, including me." I looked at him, pretending to be curious. "Everything?" he nodded. "Yeah, she trusts me. That's how people rise in companies." I smiled slowly. "Oh," I whispered. "I understand now." The next morning I walked into the office with a new calm in my chest. I had a plan now. A real one. Harper and Evan were in a heated discussion at her desk. I slowed my steps, pretending to sort papers nearby so I could hear them. "We need that file," Harper snapped. "The CEO wants the full project breakdown." Evan scratched his head. "I thought you backed it up." She glared. "It was on your drive. Don't tell me you lost it." Lost it. My heart gave a slow, satisfied beat. Because I had the real file. The original file, with my name on every draft saved in the metadata, and the version Harper presented didn't include half the details, because she only had the copy I accidentally sent her early on. "You need to rewrite the missing parts," Harper hissed. "That's like 40 hours of work," Evan muttered. "That's your problem," she said sharply. I pretended to drop a pen and crouched, letting my head tilt just enough to hear him whisper, "Cynthia, better not find out." Harper scoffed. "She won't. She's too soft." I stood up smiling. They didn't know the truth. I wasn't soft. I was silent. And silence is dangerous. By lunch, Harper sent a company-wide email claiming she and Evan were deepening their leadership role by guiding the project team. My project team. People congratulated them in the hallway. Evan walked around like he was 10 feet tall. I kept my head down, quietly building the next step of my plan. I drafted an email to the CEO, Mr. Langford. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't emotional. It was calm and professional. I attached my original project timeline, my research notes, my drafts, my mock-ups, all saved automatically, with my name in the digital stamp. I wrote, "Just making sure you have the correct authorship records for the project. Please let me know if you need anything else." I hovered over the send button, my finger shaking, then I clicked. Seconds later, Lena texted me. "You sure about this?" I replied, "Yes, I stayed quiet long enough." I slipped my phone into my pocket, returned to my computer, and continued working like nothing happened. Meanwhile, Evan paced around Harper's desk, whispering nervously. He didn't know a storm was about to hit. But I knew. And I was ready. At 3:02 p.m., my phone rang. The caller ID made my stomach jump. Mr. Langford, CEO. I answered quickly. Hello, sir, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Cynthia, he said calmly. Can you come to my office? My heart pounded. Of course. When I arrived, he closed the door behind me. I reviewed the files you sent. I nodded, my hands shaking a little. I thought you should see them. I'm glad you did, he said, because Harper's version looked incomplete, but yours is detailed, structured, and original. Warm relief spread across my chest. Then he added, Did Harper or Evan ever mention your involvement? I swallowed hard. No, sir. He let out a slow breath. Interesting. He asked me to sit. Cynthia, I want honesty. Are you comfortable telling me how much of this project you created? I looked down at my hands. Almost all of it. He tapped his desk slowly. I see. After a moment, he nodded. Thank you. I'll handle the next steps. As I stood to leave, he said quietly, You did the right thing. But when I stepped back into the hallway, everything felt heavier. Harper was watching me from across the office. She knew something was wrong. And she was right. By the time I reached my desk, Harper stormed out of her office and pulled Evan inside with her. The door slammed. I pretended to look busy, even though my ears were focused on every muffled word. She emailed him, Harper hissed, even through the wall. Her voice was sharp. What did she send? Evan whispered, panicked. I don't know, but Langford is asking questions. Evan groaned. She's smarter than we thought. Hearing that made something inside me tighten. Not sadness anymore, but something stronger. Power. Harper said, We need to get ahead of this. Maybe say she misunderstood her role. Evan swallowed loudly. She won't believe that. She's emotional, Harper snapped. We'll twist it. Emotional. That word again. I felt my jaw clench. A moment later, the office door flew open and they both walked out, pretending everything was fine. Evan passed my desk and forced a smile. Hey, you okay? He asked softly. I looked up at him. I'm good, I whispered. He blinked, surprised by my calm. Harper gave me a stiff nod. We may need you for a few things later. I nodded politely, but inside my plan was widening, growing stronger. This was only the beginning. That evening, after everyone left, I stayed in the office, pretending to finish reports. Really, I was digging. I plugged a small USB into my computer and accessed the shared drive. I already knew what I was looking for. Harper kept all her important files in a folder labeled H-Master. She wasn't subtle. Inside, I found drafts of emails she had sent to the CEO about the project. Emails where she claimed Evan, and she had worked day and night on it. Then I found something even better. A recorded Zoom meeting where Harper told Evan, Don't mention Cynthia. We don't need her taking credit. My breath caught. This was proof. Solid proof. I copied everything onto the USB and tucked it deep into my bag. As I got up to leave, I heard footsteps. Evan walked back into the office, surprised to see me. You're still here? I forced a smile, though my heart raced. Just finishing up. He walked closer. You sure everything's okay? You've been different. I tilted my head. Have I? He nodded slowly. You seem distant. I gave a small, sad smile. Maybe I'm just seeing things more clearly. He frowned, confused. I walked past him. My plan was no longer a thought. It was in motion. The next morning, tension filled the office like smoke. People whispered when Harper and Evan passed by, though no one seemed to know why yet. Word travels slowly in corporate halls. But it always travels Lena rushed to my desk. "Something's up," she whispered. "People are saying Mr. Langford asked for internal files." I pretended to look confused. "Really?" She nodded. "Harper's been panicking since 8 a.m. Evan looks sick." My heartbeat steadied with quiet satisfaction. Just then, Harper's sharp voice cut across the room. "Cynthia, can I see you?" I stood, acting calm. "Of course." Inside her office, she gave a tight smile. "So, Mr. Langford talked to you yesterday?" "Yes," I said softly. She leaned forward. "What did you say?" I blinked slowly. "The truth." Her jaw tightened. "I hope you understand how teamwork works here. Sometimes leaders speak for the team." I tilted my head. "Leaders don't erase the team." She froze. Her voice dropped. "Be careful, Cynthia." I felt a chill run down my spine, but I held her gaze. "I will." When I stepped out, Evan was standing nearby, hands in his pockets. He looked at me with worried eyes. "We should talk," he whispered. I nodded. It was time he saw what guilt looked like. Evan led me to the empty break room, closing the door behind us. His face looked strained, nothing like the easy smile he used on me before. "Cynthia," he began, his voice shaking a little. "Harper says you talked to the CEO." "I did," I said quietly. He rubbed his forehead. "What did you tell him?" "That I worked on the project." "That's it?" His eyes searched mine. "For now," I said softly. His breath hitched. "Look, Harper put me in a tough spot. She wanted information, and I didn't know what to do." I raised an eyebrow. "You told her everything I said to you." His shoulders slumped. "I know. I messed up." "Messed up?" I whispered. "You used me." He stepped closer. "No. Cynthia, it wasn't like that. I care about you." I laughed quietly. "Do you?" "Because you said I was clueless." His eyes widened. You heard that?" I nodded slowly. He sank into a chair, burying his face in his hands. "I didn't mean it. I wanted Harper to trust me. I thought it would help my career." "So you threw me under the bus?" He didn't answer. I walked toward the door. "Evan, I stayed quiet long enough to hear your guilt. And now, I'm done being quiet." He didn't follow me. He couldn't. At noon, an email hit everyone's inbox. Mandatory meeting. 12:30 p.m. Conference room 4, see presenter, Mr. Langford. The whole office buzzed. Mandatory meetings from the CEO never meant anything small. When I entered the room, Harper and Evan sat up front, stiff and pale. I sat near Lena, who grabbed my hand under the table. Mr. Langford walked in, holding a folder thick with papers. "Good afternoon," he said, his voice calm but serious. He pulled up the project presentation on the screen. "I've reviewed all drafts and files related to this project. I noticed inconsistencies." Harper shifted in her seat. Evan stared at the floor. Mr. Langford continued. "Some versions had missing sections. Others were not written by the people who claimed they wrote them." Whispers spread across the room. Then he turned directly toward Harper and Evan. "I also found digital evidence showing intentional misattribution." Harper's face turned red. "Sir, this must be a misunderstanding." "Enough," he said firmly. The room went silent. "And there is one person," he continued, "who appears to be the actual creator of the project." My heartbeat thundered. Then he looked right at me. "Cynthia, please stay behind. After the meeting." Harper's eyes widened. The damage had begun. Everyone left the room in a wave of whispers. Harper tried to follow Mr. Langford, but he raised his hand, stopping her. "Not you," he said sternly. Her face twisted. "Sir, I can explain." "No," he said. "You can't." Evan tried stepping forward too, but Mr. Langford shook his head. "Wait outside." I sat alone at the table, hands trembling under the wood. Harper remained standing, lips tight, breathing hard. Mr. Langford laid out printed emails, Zoom transcripts, and file metadata. You knowingly took credit for work you did not do. You hid Cynthia's role and misled leadership. Harper's voice snapped. She was just helping. She wrote 90% of this, he said sharply, and you claimed it as yours. Harper's mouth opened and closed like she couldn't breathe. Then he added, effective immediately, you're removed from the project and placed on administrative review pending investigation. Her face drained of color. You're ruining my career. No, he said coldly. You did that yourself. Harper spun toward me, eyes burning. You did this. I kept my voice soft. No, you did. She stormed out, shoving past Evan on her way. Mr. Langford turned to me. Stay. I nodded, heart pounding. I wasn't finished, not yet. When the door closed behind Harper, the room felt strangely calm. Mr. Langford took a seat across from me. Cynthia, he said, I owe you an apology. We should have seen the truth earlier. I shook my head. It's okay. No, he said firmly. It's not. He slid a folder toward me. Your work is excellent. The project is stronger because of you. I want you to present it yourself at next month's executive review. My breath caught. Me? Yes. You deserve the recognition. And more than that. He paused, folding his hands. I want you to lead the project officially. My heart jumped. Project lead. He nodded. If you want the position. I swallowed hard. I do. Good, he said with a small smile. But be ready. Harper won't go down quietly. I nodded. I know. Mr. Langford stood and held out his hand. Congratulations. I shook it, feeling a warmth rise in my chest, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Pride. But as I walked out of the room, Evan waited in the hallway. His eyes were red, like he had been crying. Cynthia, we need to talk, he whispered. I tightened my grip on the folder. Talk? No, now he would listen. I didn't slow down when I saw him. I walked right past, but he followed me. Cynthia, please, he whispered. Just give me a second. I stopped. Only because part of me wanted to hear how far he'd go with the lies. What? I asked flatly. He rubbed the back of his neck, staring at the floor. I didn't know Harper was doing all that, I swear. She told me you two were working together. I let out a humorless laugh. And you believed her? Without ever asking me? He flinched. Cynthia, I messed up, he said. I should have trusted you. I should have seen what she was doing. You didn't want to see it, I said quietly, because trusting her was easier. He opened his mouth, but no words came. Finally, he whispered, I'm sorry. Okay, I said. He blinked. Just okay. Yeah, I said, stepping back, because I don't owe you anything more than that. His face cracked like he expected forgiveness, expected closeness, expected me to patch the hole he carved in me. But that version of me was gone. I'm leading the project now, I said. I'm moving forward. You should too. I walked away. This time he didn't follow, and for the first time in months, I felt the weight sliding off my shoulders. I was in the elevator when the doors nearly shut until a hand shot between them. Harper. Her hair was messy, her eyes red, her breathing sharp. Like she had run to catch me. Cynthia, please, can we talk? I stared straight ahead. No. But she stepped in anyway as the doors closed. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she whispered. I was drowning. Everyone expected me to be perfect, and then you showed up, doing everything better. That's not an excuse, I said calmly. I know, she said, voice trembling. But I wasn't trying to ruin you, She broke off, looking small, fragile. But I had learned better. than to trust her performance. You didn't care who you hurt, I said. You just wanted to win. She wiped her face. Please, I just need someone on my side. I'm not on your side, I said. Not anymore. Her jaw tightened, tears drying instantly. That's a mistake, she whispered. No, I said. It's clarity. The elevator dinged. I stepped out. She stayed inside. For once, she didn't fight. But something about the silence she left behind chilled me more than her shouting ever did. The next few days were a blur of emails, meetings, and late nights at my desk, this time with real authority behind my name. Project lead, Cynthia Owens. Every time I saw the title, a small flame lit inside my chest. But Harper's shadow wasn't gone. I heard whispers in corners, people lowering their voices when I walked past. Her allies were trying to spin the narrative, trying to find a version of the truth where she didn't fall alone. Fine. If they wanted war, I was ready. I gathered every file, every version history, every timestamp I had. I built a folder so airtight a lawyer would smile reading it. Mr. Langford noticed. You're thorough, he said. I'm prepared, I corrected. He nodded. Good. HR will call you soon. They're reviewing everything. The word review sent a shiver down my spine. This wasn't over. But I was standing taller now. I wasn't the scared girl hiding behind her work. I was the one leading it. And I wasn't letting anyone rewrite my story again. Not Harper, not Evan, no one. The email arrived at 10:14 a.m. sharp. Subject, HR inquiry. Formal interview request. My stomach twisted. I read it twice, then again. Harper had submitted her response. Now they needed mine. I walked to the HR floor with my folder clutched in my hand, heels clicking against the tiles like a countdown. The room was bright, cold, silent. The HR director gestured to a chair. Cynthia, thank you for coming. I sat. We've reviewed Harper's claims, she said, and her story doesn't align with the evidence we've received. I waited for the but. It came. But she insists you manipulated the situation against her. I almost laughed. Instead, I opened my folder and slid everything across the table. Every document, timestamp, revision, and chat message is in here, I said softly. You'll see the truth. She looked surprised, then impressed. She flipped through the papers, her expression shifting with each page. After 10 minutes, she closed the folder gently. Cynthia, this is decisive. I know, I said. We'll finish our review by Friday. I stood. Thank you. As I left the room, my hands finally stopped shaking. Not because I wasn't scared, but because for the first time I realized Harper couldn't touch me anymore. By Thursday morning, the rumors were everywhere. People stopped pretending to whisper. Conversations halted when I entered rooms. Every hallway carried the same quiet tension, the kind that comes right before a storm hits. Evan approached my desk cautiously. People are saying Harper might get terminated, he said quietly. I didn't respond. He lowered his voice further. They're saying she's blaming you. I looked up at him. She can blame whoever she wants. It won't change the facts. He swallowed. Cynthia, she's not doing well. A flicker of sadness passed through me. Then I shut it down. Her choices, I said. Her consequences. He nodded weakly, stepping back. But as he left, I noticed something shifting around me. People watching me with a new kind of attention. Not pity, not gossip, respect, fear, a little of both. Let them. I had spent too long making myself small. Now I walked through the office like someone who knew the truth. Power isn't given. It's reclaimed. The HR email hit my inbox. Exactly 3:17 p.m. Subject, final decision. My pulse hammered in my ears as I clicked it. I read slowly, carefully, letting each word settle. Found responsible for ethical misconduct. Project credit reassigned to you. Administrative review complete. Termination effective immediately. I exhaled. Not relief, not joy, just an ending, a necessary one. Mr. Langford appeared at my doorway moments later. You saw the email? I nodded. You did well, he said quietly. You handled this with more grace than most. Grace. Funny. I didn't feel graceful. I felt tired, but I smiled anyway. Thank you. He hesitated. Security is escorting Harper out now. You may want to stay at your desk. I nodded again. But inside my heart clenched. This was what I wanted, right? Then why did it feel so heavy? I didn't mean to see her. I wasn't trying to. But as I walked toward the elevator at closing time, there she was, being escorted by 2 security officers, her box of office things shaking in her hands. Harper. Her eyes lifted and locked onto mine. For a second, time held its breath. She looked broken. No makeup, no mask, no performance. Just a devastated woman walking out of the building where she thought she was untouchable. She stopped. The guards paused behind her. Are you happy now? She asked, voice hoarse. My throat tightened. No, I said honestly. But I didn't do this to you. You did. Her jaw trembled. I hope it was worth it, she whispered. Then she turned and kept walking. The doors closed behind her. A chapter ended, but it didn't feel victorious, just final. I stepped outside into the warm evening air, but Evan was already there waiting for me. Cynthia, he said, can we talk? I closed my eyes briefly. Evan, what else is there to say? He stepped closer. I just want you to know, I'm proud of you. You stood up for yourself, you fought back, and you won. I didn't want a war, I said quietly. I wanted peace. He nodded. I know. But you earned respect today. I studied his face, the softness, the guilt, the longing, and I knew what he wanted. But that part of my life was gone. I'm done looking backward, I said. He inhaled sharply. So that's it? We're done? We ended the moment you chose to believe her over me, I said. You just didn't realize it. He looked down. I'm sorry. Thank you, I said. And I meant it. But apologies couldn't rebuild foundations that were never solid. I stepped away from him. This time I didn't look back. The executive boardroom was packed. My slides were ready. My notes sharpened. My voice steady. But the moment I stood at the head of the table, the spot Harper once claimed without hesitation, I felt something shift. I belonged here. Mr. Langford gave me a nod. Ready when you are, I began, and the words came easily, confident, clear, powerful. The board members engaged. They asked questions. They leaned in. They took notes. When I finished, the room was silent for a second. Then, applause, real applause. My chest warmed, my throat tightened, but I held my posture. One executive said, "Brilliant work, Cynthia. This is leadership-level thinking." Another added, "We see a future for you here." A future. My future. As I gathered my papers afterward, Mr. Langford whispered, "You earned every bit of this." And for the first time, I believed him. I walked out of the building that evening, the sky painted orange and gold like the universe was finally exhaling with me. My phone buzzed. Messages from co-workers congratulating me, praising me, thanking me for the work I had always done in the shadows. But I didn't stop to read them all. I just stood there, breathing deeply, feeling the weight lift off my shoulders, one final time. This wasn't revenge, this was restoration. My truth was finally louder than their lies. As I crossed the street toward my car, I caught my reflection in the window. Tired, stronger, different. Not the woman who almost stayed silent. Not the woman who let herself be dimmed. But someone reborn from fire they thought would burn her. someone who chose herself. I unlocked my car and paused for a moment, looking back at the building. Not with fear, with gratitude. I survived it. I surpassed it. And tomorrow, I rise again.